breakthrough this morning in the fight against COVID-19 with promising test results from the first phase of human trials coming from the Oxford University trial. The trial involved just over 1,000 people and showed the injection led them to produce antibodies and T cells to fight the virus. To discuss, we're joined by microbiologist Susie Wiles. Good morning, Susie. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Morena.
Can you just give us an idea of how this works? Talk to us like we know nothing, because we don't.
Okay, so in order for a vaccine to basically be shown to be effective, it has to go through various phases. And so these are what the trials are. And this is the results of a combined phase 1 and phase 2 trial. So normally in a phase 1 trial, you have maybe 100 people, and this is where you test the vaccine for whether it's safe, and you might test a few different doses. A phase 2 trial has a few more people in it. So this is combined because it's basically the first time it's been used in people, but they tested essentially 500 people. So they had 500 people get this vaccine candidate and 500 people get the meningitis vaccine. And so that was just to make sure that people, knew that they'd had a vaccine. They didn't know which one they had, and because what they're also trying to find out is what side effects it might have. And so they want to know whether there's anything above and beyond, what people would expect from another kind of vaccine. And so it's really promising. It's not, obviously, the results for this trial don't say anything about whether it will work. They just inject some people and then take blood samples from them. I think it was over about a month period to see whether they actually mount an immune response, which they did, and also then whether there were any bad side effects. And so it does look like for this one there are slightly more side effects than people got with the meningitis vaccine, but they were all things that if you just gave people a bit of paracetamol beforehand and got them to take it for a few days after, it sort of reduced it. So things like fever and stuff like that. Very, very promising, but obviously not the answer yet.
So what is next then? Does it move on to more human trials?
Yeah, so phase 3 is the next, and it's already in phase 3 trials. So in the UK, in Brazil, and South Africa. And so this is the trial where they'll basically do it in larger numbers of people, and also will try and see whether it's actually effective. So when you have people who've had the vaccine versus people who haven't, do you end up with less cases of COVID-19? So I guess we have to remember there are something like 140 different vaccine candidates currently in different parts of this sort of trial. Most of them are still in animal trials. But this one, actually, of all the vaccines that are going through, is the one that probably most people are most excited about, because it is the vaccine, the strategy they're using is one that has been shown to work with other infectious diseases. This group, the Oxford group, have used this strategy for developing a vaccine against MERS, and that had, already passed its first trials. It's not in use in people, but so it's looking very promising. Also, this is the one where, so it's developed in partnership with AstraZeneca, and AstraZeneca have already signed agreements with various countries about making doses available for free. So it's also the one that's probably more likely to be available in an equitable way around the world.
Well, that is exciting. The UK, however, are so excited about it that they've bought 100 million doses of the vaccine at the stage that it's at the moment. Do they know something we don't? Or are they jumping the gun? Or are they hedging their bets?
I think they're hedging their bets. I mean, of all of the ones, as I say, this is the strategy that has been successful in the past. So I guess they're thinking, why would it not work? I guess what we don't know yet is, so if it is protective, how long it would be protective for. And that's because there's just so much we don't yet know about how our immune responds to the virus. But yeah, it's, as I say, of all of the ones in trials at the moment, this is probably the one that's I'm most excited about.
How excited should we get in terms of when we might see this roll out to us, to the people of the world?
Yeah, so that's a $1 million question. So the phase 3 trial is basically going to last a year. And so the question will be, I guess, if it is showing it's effective in the early stages, then whether there's sort of like permission given to essentially stop the trial early and start using the vaccine, properly. The companies involved are, ramping up production in anticipation that it would work. But I guess the point is that if it did work, it would be made available to those who needed it most first. Right. So, in terms of populations, it might be those who are most vulnerable. The thing we don't know from this data is whether this vaccine will protect older people. The people who are in phase 2 and 3, 1 and 2 trials are mostly young and healthy. Mm-hmm. So, we need to know that it will protect others. But again, this strategy has been used before and has been effective in those kinds of situations.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning and getting us updated on this possible new vaccine.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, absolutely. Everything crossed. Susie Wiles, microbiologist.